Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is Titus Valsbar. Sorry about not getting that video up this past week. It's been kind of a rough weekend for me, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and take care of it at this point. As we'd kind of discussed this past week, we wanted to take a look at, well, I'd kind of run out of a couple of different options of mine. However, one of the ones that we were looking at taking, or doing a synopsis of, rather, is Joe Fixit. I've had this recommendation given to me from a couple of different members of my alliance, mainly because his signature ability can be a little bit confusing. However, my 4-star version of him does not have that ability awakened. So let's go ahead and take a look at his 3-star, which I do happen to have awakened right here. So this is just sheer for the sake of explaining his ability, and then we'll use him to kind of showcase that ability a little bit, and then we'll use our regular Joe Fixit as for some of our exhibition. Or when I say regular, I mean my 4-star, which is a lot stronger. So his signature ability is kind of interesting. So at the beginning of every match, you'll notice that he kind of has these abilities that'll set to roll. It's called a Gambler's Ruin. And every time he does this, he has a 65.8% chance at level 8, mind you, to gain a second suit, which gives him a different set of buffs. Now, each of these buffs, they're very distinct in their own ability, and every single time at the beginning of every match, and also anytime he successfully lands a heavy attack, he will gain one of these suits. So these are the different suits that he has. There's hearts, spades, clubs, and diamonds, just like your regular deck of playing cards. And whenever he rolls or has a heart suit active, he continuously regenerates 15% health. If he has the spades, he activates what's called Dirty Fighting, which allows him to stack weaken and fatigue charges, reducing each of those, reducing the attack by 10% and critical hit rate by 5%, respectively. Those charges last anywhere between 5 to 8 seconds, and it can really get you in a little bit of a pickle when you're fighting against an opponent who has willpower. So that's something to keep in mind. The clubs, I'm going to go ahead and clear out some of these circles here. The clubs allows him to gain an additional 10% critical hit rate. So you'll see an increase in your critical hits as you continue fighting. And then diamonds works kind of like the Hulk Rage signature ability, where he continues to hit, where he hits harder as his health continues to drop. Gets up to a 40% attack increase as his health declines. So that's also something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind with Joe Fixit is he deals very heavily on bleed damage. His special 1 and his special 3 both involve a Tommy gun or machine gun, which will deal either, depends on which one it is. So with the special attack 1, there's 8 hits that are given. One's a headbutt, just like your regular Hulk. And then the preceding 7 are shots from his Tommy gun. And each of those hits has a 49% chance to inflict bleed damage, which would deal 25% of your attack over a 5-second period. And those do stack you. It happens very rarely, but I have actually had the 7 bleed charges hit at the same point in time. Whereas the special 3 attack has a 100% chance to inflict bleed, but instead of the 25% chance, it has a 225% chance of inflicting that bleed. Now, you do need to keep this in mind if you do happen to square up against a champion, who is bleed immune. In that case, you would want to focus on your special attack number 2, which has a 100% chance to stun the opponent, which can be beneficial to you in that regard. So that's kind of the generals with a duped Joe Fixit. I know I can't really demonstrate this with a 4-star version, but we'll go ahead and use him in a fight here, and then we'll transition into using my 4-star version. We'll take a look at the 4-star synergies and how that is to be used as well. So let's go ahead and I'll jump into, oh, pardon me. I feel like I've had a little bit of a cold the past couple of days. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump into a quick match with this Joe Fixit. Now, hopefully I actually get a relatively decent opponent to fight against. So, see, this is exactly what I was talking about. We're going to be fighting a Colossus. So, special attacks 1 and 3 will not be as efficient, as those 2 attacks do rely quite heavily on his bleed damage. So you'll see the poker suits that are going there. It looks like I'm going to have the Cunning, which is the increased critical hit rate, and then you'll see the Rage thing there, which isn't a huge benefit for me, and it just disappeared. The Rage is not as efficient at this early on in a fight, so let's go ahead and re-roll. And you'll see there, it looks like I'm going to have Cunning once again, and I get the Cunning mixed with the double down, so you'll see these different weaknesses start to stack up against him, and he blocked that, but see if I can't get him to use his second attack. Oh, it was weakness mixed with the Cunning, so this is the Dirty Fighting that I have activated currently. There we go. So see, you have the guaranteed stun there. And this is nice when you're fighting opponents like Colossus. So let's go ahead and re-roll that one more time, see what we can't get. And it looks like we're going to have the same kind of setup that we had the last time. And let's just go ahead and finish this duel out. So, it's kind of annoying. Joe Fixit definitely is one of the 4-star champions that not a whole lot of people are happy with duplicating, because that ability, 1, it's kind of confusing, and 2, it doesn't last very long, so it doesn't provide any really good benefits, you might say. So, something to keep in mind, I guess, when you go to use Joe Fixit. I do like him as a champion. He was my profile for a long time, one of the first champions that I did take to 330. I don't have him at 440 because I have other champions that we've discussed that I like a little bit better, just due to their abilities. So let's go ahead and do one of these event quests here. See if we can't pick up some extra catalysts. And that's the team that I've been using, but we'll go ahead and rotate them out to show you how to strengthen your Joe Fixit. And again, I don't mean to bag on Joe Fixit. He's a great character. I do think that there are some improvements that could be made to him, but as is, he does very well, and I hope to show you that with some of the bleed damage here. So he gets synergies with Wolverine and Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and your good old-fashioned regular Hulk. Now, you'll remember from one of my other videos that he does offer synergies to Venom, but apparently he doesn't get any benefits from that, or from being on a team with Venom. So we're going to use Joe Fixit as our primary character in this quest, and this is a maxed synergy for him, and you did see that his player index increased from 2,300 to 2,500, so there was a pretty good increase there. So let's go ahead and jump into this quest and jump down the harder of the two paths, just so you can kind of get a general idea of what it's like to use him. Now, War Machine here is going to be our first. He's unduped, so that's not as difficult to fight against. Again, we've covered War Machine in a previous video as well. So if you haven't seen that, feel free to go back and check it out. So again, you'll see that I do still have the poker suits rolling. And with this one, I started off with the Gamma Regeneration, which will be a nice one to have. And with the higher health stat that you have, the better the Gamma Regen tends to be. So I want to show you his level 3 special attack. So you can get a better idea of the bleed damage that it causes. So you'll notice that his health bar isn't really moving a lot during this, the actual attack part of the level 3 special attack, but watch the bleed damage. That's almost 300 damage in bleed for a 5-second period. So 300 health points knocked off every second for 5 seconds. That is huge, which is why you've got to be careful when you're going up against opponents who do not bleed. So let's keep going down this path here. Looks like Wolverine is next on our list. And we had Gamma Regeneration on the last one, so let's see what it gives us this time around. Looks like we're going to get more Gamma Regen, which I won't complain about because it is a really nice, it's one of my preferred suits that he does have. Guess I probably should have showed you his level 1 special attack as well. I'll be sure to do that on Storm, to keep damage down from Storm as well. So like I said, Gamma Regeneration is one of my preferred suits. The other one would definitely be his Cunning suit, which I believe is the Clubs. So let's go ahead and jump into this one against Storm. And I'll get a chance to show you level 1 special attack here. And we've currently got a rage buff. See, there's 7 bleed charges there, each of them doing 24 damage. So it doesn't happen very commonly, but it does. And you know, you had 7 different charges taking 24 points off every second. So that's I'm not really good at math, at least in my head. But that's a good almost oh, let me see about this. That's almost a good 200 hit points every second there. So definitely not as good as that last special attack with the almost 300 every second, but still a pretty good amount of damage to have done there. So here we'll face off against a Deadpool X-Force, and this might be my next favorite class here. Yep, Cunning, the clubs. And you'll see that there's an increase in the critical hits that we land here. Which is a very useful suit. Between that one and the Gamma Regeneration, which is on the heart, I think those are my 2 preferred suits out of the 2. One, you're recovering a little bit of extra health, and the other, you're dealing more damage consistently, whereas the Rage on the diamonds is kind of here and there, if you follow me. So here's a champion that we've warned you against before, Magneto. And one of the things that you will remember with Magneto is that he can reduce the amount of damage that he takes, but that's just on direct hits. So anything that you cause via bleed damage actually kind of bypasses that. So Joe Fixit and other characters that cause heavy bleed, such as Black Panther, would be very good against Magneto. Now, one thing you do have to remember is that Magneto, being a mutant champ, would have a class advantage over Black Panther, so you would have to be careful with that. But the bleed damage that you could potentially cause with a Black Panther or any other champion that causes large amounts of bleed, Venom as an example of that, would do well against Magneto. But you could see that with our Joe Fixit there, we were able to take him out without too much of an issue. So let's go ahead and continue. So here's a Moon Knight, and I'll keep using my Joe Fixit here, even though he's at a class disadvantage. Moon Knight's a very quirky character as well, as his signature ability transitions based on the cycles of the moon. So they all, I guess, benefit him in one way or another, with the full moon being a very particularly dangerous time to fight against Moon Knight. But he just has a different kind of there's just a different strategy to using Moon Knight. This should pretty well finish him off. And if it doesn't with the actual damage, it will with the bleed. So to finish out this little video segment, we'll go ahead and do this battle against Doctor Strange, again using our Joe Fixit still. Again, should be pretty simple. And by all means, if you get a suit that you're not too keen on using, go ahead and switch it out. I mean, I don't like this Rage, for example. Well, actually, it's a lot more effective now because I am at a lower health. So, I would have switched it out under circumstances where I had higher health with my Joe Fixit, but with the lower health there, I do have the increased attack on each of those just basic attacks, so nothing really to complain about there. Again, Joe Fixit, he's an interesting character, probably one of the lesser beneficial attacks, or abilities, I should say, in the game, but by no means a character to be upset about if you do happen to pull him. Again, there are other characters that I have that I would sooner take to a 440 rating out of my 4-star heroes. Namely, out of the ones that I have at 330, I would much sooner take my Captain America, or been putting some thought into Scarlet Witch as well. I mean, I would take my superior Iron Man here if I didn't already have 2 Cosmic Champions at 440. So, I mean, just a couple of things to think about there. But, as you can see, we did not end up getting a skill champion this past week, so we're still holding out for that. I'm still a little upset, but one of those dupes was my 4-star superior Iron Man, so nothing really to complain about in all things considered, I guess you might say. So we'll just keep on biding our time and hoping that we can get a skilled champion, or maybe even dupe a champion that's not a Cosmic. As you can see, that 3 of the 4 that I have duplicated are Cosmics. Again, I really don't have any room to complain, but that's really all I have for you this week, so we'll go ahead and get things wrapped up and let you enjoy whatever's left of your week, your weekend, however it may be. So until then, this is Titus Valspar signing off. Again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to check them out and give your opinion. So once again, take care, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you probably this time Saturday. So have fun, and we'll be back